وبعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تدع فينا شقيا ولا محروما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are due to Him, and peace and blessings be upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He who is guided by the will of Allah, no one can misguide him, and he who is misguided, no one can guide him except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah that Allah has chosen us to be from those who witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is His messenger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. تقبل طاعتكم. May Allah accept your deeds in Ramadan, and Eid Mubarak for all of you, inshallah. Today, inshallah, it's our 108 session, alhamdulillah, by the will of Allah, 2 years plus, alhamdulillah. On weekly basis, we reached to verse 255, which is Ayatul Kursi. What I will be doing, I will read the ayah, inshallah. I will read the direct, simple translation of the meaning. As you know, we will try to derive some kind of messages from understanding this ayah as much as we can, inshallah, in the time that we have, which is around 1 hour. Now, number one, reciting the ayah. I think there is no Muslim but knows this ayah. One of the most famous verses in the Quran, and actually it is the most important, because according to many hadith by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that it is the greatest ayah in the Quran. We will know now why, how we should start understanding, a new understanding, when we recite this ayah, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. Now, the direct translation, I will be using today two translations. Mainly, I depend on the English translation for the meaning on Dr. Mustafa Khattab, and I recommend this English translation for anyone, Muslims and non-Muslims, even if a new Muslim or someone who might be thinking to understand Islam. Inshallah, he might become a Muslim. I recommend reading the translation of the meaning by Dr. Mustafa Khattab. And today I might be using some kind of details from Al-Mawdudi as well, which is Tafhim al-Quran. Now, the direct translation. Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him, the ever-living Al-Hayy, all-sustaining Al-Qayyum. Each word, even though I'm reading the direct, simple translation, I will go back and we will deal with each term, the meaning. Because keep in your mind, English language is very, very, very poor language when it comes to translate from Arabic. It kills the meaning. The one who understands Arabic, understand not just as an Arab who says marhaba habibi kayfak and that's it. No. I mean understood Islamic studies based on deep knowledge of Arabic language. Understand the sarf and nahwa and the grammar and the rhetoric and the balagha and the bayan and the sarf deeply. He realizes how poor English is and how do we suffer really sometimes too, because it's a very rich language, very deep language. It's enough for anyone to know that Allah has chosen this language to reveal the final book, which is the mu'jiza, the miracle of Muhammad ﷺ and the final religion. So just the fact that Allah decided to let His final message to humanity till the day of judgment be in this language in itself gives you an idea. Now, if you are expert in the two languages, you will realize what I will say. However, that's why sometimes we don't just read the translation, we need to explore a very rich meaning. So, the ever-living, all-sustaining, neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes him. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. To him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. Who could possibly intercede with him without his permission? This refers to what we call the intercession, الشفاعة, because it's part of our aqidah that there is a concept of intercession in the day of judgment. A shaheed, for example, the martyr, will be given the permission to intercede, to ask forgiveness for a number of his family. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will intercede, will be given the permission for his ummah to start. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, من ذا الذي, who could possibly intercede with him without his permission? The fact that you will be allowed to be acting in the intercession area, it's just by his permission. قال, he fully knows what is ahead of them and what is behind them, which means he knows everything, the past, the present, and the future. But no one can grasp any of his knowledge except what he wills to reveal. No one. This replies to a lot of claims by some people who claims that they know the ghaib, okay? No prophet could ever have had any kind of knowledge except by revelation. So when they speak, any prophet, Prophet Muhammad or any other prophet, when they spoke about what we called them prophecies, nubu'at, okay? It's by the permission of Allah. Allah is the one who told them about such and such. Simply they convey it. So one knows the ghaib except by the permission of Allah. That's why anyone who claims that depending on looking at the stars and the skies and such, علم الفلك بالإنجليزي شو هو؟ Astronomy? Astrology. Okay, Jazakallah khair. You know, because some people, they claim they are actually either they are magicians or just fortune tellers, or they deal with jinn or whatever. They're committing some kind of kufr acts, okay, regardless what is it, many types. So they claim sometimes by looking to, you know, to what we call ilm al-falak or al-nujum, when they say the astrology was okay, depending on that, the movement of this, that, what will happen to you 5 years later and 3 months and 10 days and 5 hours, ooh, wow, you will such and such. والأهبل بيصدق. You know أهبل? Untranslatable, okay. Some idiots, they do believe this, unfortunately. And they go and pay money to listen to these things, and they trust in it. They don't trust Allah, they trust this magician or liar. Anyway, قال, but no one can grasp any of his knowledge except what he wills to reveal. His seat, al-kursi, encompasses وسع كرسيه. His seat encompasses the heavens and the earth. It's part of one of the greatest of the creation of Allah, al-kursi wal-arsh. It's part of the creation, we will come to it. And the preservation of both does not tire him, which means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not be tired because he's taking care of as-samawat wal-ard, the heavens and the earth. And the preservation of both does not tire him, for he is the most high, the greatest. طيب. Now, then next ayah, لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. Let there be no compulsion in religion, for the truth, and this is a very important ayah, لا إكراه في الدين, because some people, they keep claiming to let the people be away from Islam or loving Islam or to be close from Islam. Islam was spread by force. This is one of the great lies against Islam and Muslims. And the historical fact and the actual reality tells you that this is a lie. Muslims, they ruled India for 1,000 years. 1,000 years, they were kicked out just 200 plus years by the British. And they are minority. Tell me how. If they were forcing people to be Muslims, how come in 1,000 years Hindus are still majority and Muslims are minority? This is pure math, pure logic now. 1,000 years. Do you know that? India, I'm talking about India now. 1,000. And they have the full power. They could have done whatever. No one can ever stop them. If they want to force, how come? Or if Muslims, just simple logic. How do we explain the still existence of Arab Christians among us? You just answer me. If Islam used force. Just 100 years ago, the Ottoman Empire, which was the biggest representative of Islam, collapsed. Before that, for hundreds of years, one of the mightiest power on earth, it was Muslims. And if the Ottomans wanted, or the Mamalik, or the Abbasid wanted to force the people, and they were, for hundreds of years, very powerful empires. If their religion asked them to force the people, how come still we have Arab Christians in Egypt, in Syria, in Jordan, in Iraq, Ashuriyin, Kildaniyin, the Orthodox Christians, still their churches since 700, 800, 900 years still exist, not even one stone was removed from it. Yet some people, they keep claiming Islam was spread by sword. Ya ammi, why sword? Ya ammi, common sense logic is against your claim. But subhanallah, when you are weak, when you don't have a powerful media, mainstream and militant power and big countries to support your cause, anyone can claim whatever. But at least you as an individual, be sure that this is a big lie. This is the reality. La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in religion, period. If someone did something else, this is a bad person. No one has the right to say, even if a ruler in the history did such and such. Okay, zalim, wrongdoer, period. Now, how many countries they claim they are defending human rights and they have inside them bad people, evil people, they go against the law. Do we have this or not? Yes, they say, oh, they don't represent us, we are sorry. Okay, the same thing. This is the law, and we have bad people in the history. Well, what's the problem? Yes, it happens. True or false? Now, for as example, the biggest state who claim defending human rights on earth now is the United States. Okay, they have much more human rights measurements than many, at least Arab Muslim countries. This is reality, comparing with regimes, not individuals. But don't they admit that they bring many people to court because they did a lot of evil things or not? No one says they represent the whole American civilization. They represent themselves as evil people. Close the file, Habibi, period, khalas. The same thing, used the same way when someone tells you, you know, in the Islamic history, such and such did something. Okay, wrongdoer. According to the text, according to the rulings, according to the teachings, it was not. So, la ikraha fi din. Let there be no compulsion in religion, for the truth stands out clearly from falsehood. So, whoever renounces false gods and believes in Allah has certainly grasped the firmest, unfailing handhold. And Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. Right. Now this is two verses connected together. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. Let's see. This ayah is known as the greatest ayah in the Quran because it covers every basic need has to do to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most important. The most important, what we call asma wa sifat, you know, the names and the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you as a person need to know them if you believe in Him. It covers the most important, which is, we say, the major big attributes which include other attributes inside it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the beautiful things in our religion, in Islam, Allah did not leave the area or the space open for anyone to use his own ijtihad, his own mental efforts to discover who is Allah. No. Okay? How Allah operates the world, or what does Allah want? Allah made it very clear in the Quran. He introduces Himself by His way. He spoke about Himself and He decided to let us know something about Him and to worship Him by what He revealed to us and to address him as he introduced himself to us. Okay? Now this ayah is one of the greatest. According to many hadith sahiha, let's know about the greatness of this ayah. One of them قال إذا أوى أحدكم إلى فراشه فقرأ آية الكرسي ما يزال أو لا يزال عليه ملك من الله يحرسه حتى يصبح. This is a sahih hadith, and wallahi, as we say, it has been experienced by millions, and it's true, which is the meaning of the hadith. Sound hadith, that when you go to sleep, if you read Ayatul Kursi with the intention and you believe that it is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are seeking refuge by Allah, be sure that you will be protected from the whispering and the bad influence of the shaitan till you wake up inshallah to the fajr. And believe it or not, I started when I was taught this ayah exactly 40 years ago. Wallahi, I used to have a lot of dreams. When I started reading it, wallahi, like magic, halal magic, okay, no problem. Wallahi, and the night that I forget, you can't imagine what will happen in my mind. Because you need to know, the only way that shaitan or shayateen in general, okay, the jinn of the shayateen, they can make troubles to us through the whispering into our minds. And one of the top, let's say, and best times for them to play this dirty game with us when we go to sleep. When you go to sleep, you are not conscious, you're subconscious. Somehow, Mr. Iblis has an access to the only access that he has, which is طبعا إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم. Shaitan can call me, can whisper to me, can keep sending messages to me, but he can't force me. Okay? So I need to protect myself. It's like, for example, like a very bad, evil friend of yours at the public school. You know he's a very bad. And he keeps trying to open with you the topic of why not to try some drugs or to go and to do some haram things. Okay? Now, don't say, no, I will not be influenced. Let him speak. La habibillah. Don't walk with him. Just don't be with him. Close the file. Because you never know at what time of weakness point this evil person will hit you. You don't know. And it happened. I know many stories about people who used to be far from Allah. I'm making an analogy now, just to know the influence of the shaitan on us. So I will be making the example on shayateen al-ins. Because Allah said, شياطين الإنس والجن يوحي بعضهم لبعض إلى بعض زخرف القول غرورا. The word shaitan basically from the word shatana, which means to go away of the straight path. It's a description, it's a title. The proper name of the head of the shayateen is Iblis. It's like the name of the head of the human beings is Adam. So Iblis versus Adam, the offspring of Adam alayhi salam, the human beings, Bani Adam, it's us. The offspring of Iblis are the jinn. Okay? Those jinn, some of them, they are believers and Muslims. قُلْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ أَنَّهُ اسْتَمَعَ نَفَرٌ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَقَالُوا إِنَّا سَمِعْنَا. The end of that, we know that we have some Muslims jinn. We don't forget them now. They are living in their world. Yeah. The majority of them, they are kuffar, from descendantship of Iblis. Now, the word shaitan, when it's used with the article al-ta'rif, ash-shaytan, we are talking about Iblis. When we say shaytan, shayateen, we are using this word in Arabic to describe anyone from the jinn or the human beings who do evil things and follow the steps of Iblis. That's why Allah said in the Quran, shayateen al-insi wal-jinn. Yuhi ba'duhum, yuhi, which means They have a mutual influence. What? Yes. Don't we have evil people? Sometimes when you do what they are doing, and you are witnessing part of it now. When you see what they are doing, you feel as if they had signed an agreement with Iblis, and sometimes they are giving training courses for Iblis. Or all the time they are with him. So reading this ayah will protect your mind, your soul, your heart, your dreams from this kind of bad influence of the shaitan. Now, this ayah, as I told you, according to ulama of Islam and according to the Sahih Hadith, is the greatest ayah in the Quran. Why? Because it talks about monotheism, tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It gives you the most important description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the only God who deserves to be worshipped. Now, academically, when we in general want to explain for the students and universities what we call tawheed, we use some kind of academic terminology, such as maybe some of you are familiar with it. We use tawheed uluhiyya, tawheed rububiyyah, tawheed asma wa sifat. In this specific terminology, it's not mentioned in the Quran or the Sunnah. It's just like a technical, practical description to make it easy to talk about tawheed. So I want just to convey to you quickly, then we link with the ayat. Now, when we say tawheed, which is oneness of Allah, the old classical English terminology is monotheism. Okay? Monotheism, which means tawheed. Now, the first message, please don't fall into the trap of thinking that tawheed means to believe that Allah is one and that's it. No. And by the way, we and Jews, we believe that Allah is one. Is the problem finished? Is it finished? Khalas? No. No. Now, or even Allah is the creator. Many mushrikeen, they believe that Allah is the creator. What? Yes. We need to know that. We need to understand that when we say tawheed, we are not just talking about the number one. No. It's a package. It's a huge concept. Includes 3 main areas. Okay? But what is the proof now? Look, Allah, when He described the group of the Meccans, the mushrikeen at Mecca, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ. If you, Muhammad, ask them who created heavens and earth, they would say, Allah. And by the way, maybe you know, maybe you don't. Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Umayyah ibn Khalaf, Al-Walid ibn Mughira, all this group, none of them was denying that Allah does exist. And they used to use the word Allah. They used to swear by Allah. Wallahi wa tallahi wa billahi. They were not atheists. They were not deniers for the existence of the Khaliq, but they are mushrikeen and kuffar. You will know now why. Secondly, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ وَسَخَّرَ الشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ. Which means He's not just the creator. It's not just He does exist. No. He's taking care of the universe as well. Okay? لَيَقُولُونَ Allah. طب يا عمو حجي, طب why do we declare them as mushrikeen? Because they refused to worship Allah. Now worship, we are not talking about ritual worship, be careful. This is simple part of the worship. The word worship, please, this could be one of the most important sessions, especially for the new faces. When you say worship, abada, abid, ya'bud, ibadah in Arabic, the definition of ibadah is al-inqiyad wal-khudu' al-tammu duna adna shart. The full submission without any kind of precondition for anything, any person, any group, any idea is an act of worship. The full obedience for whatever is an act of worship. It's ibadah. So that's why we say, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, it means I have not created the jinn and the human being but to obey me, not to ritually just worship me. No, this is a full obedience. One of the act of worship is the rituals. One, which could be 5% of Islam. to come to the masjid, to go to Umrah, to go to part. The idea when you say ibadah la ya'bud, which means he refuses to worship Allah, does not mean he refuses just to come to masjid 5 times prayers. No. He refuses to give Allah what he deserves as the one who gives the legislation and who decides what is haram and halal and what is right and what is wrong, and to submit himself to his will. That's why, I repeat, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Al-Walid al-Mughira, Umayyah ibn Khalaf, all of these big leaders of kuffar, none of them denied the existence of Allah or even Allah is Ar-Razzaq. They said, وَمَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ, the statues, the asnam, the idols, إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى. We know that Allah does exist. Hey Muhammad, don't accuse us that you are non-believers. You believe in your God. But we worship these things just to help us, to facilitate, our way to the Creator, which is shirk and kufr as well. So what's the idea? The idea, full obedience in every single aspect of your life. In some terminology, they use the word al-hakimiyya. Hakimiyya, which means liman al-hukum. Who has the authority to decide what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. This is the core point, by the way. The core point of Tawheed. Not just the philosophical things, to believe that Allah does exist. Hooray, mashallah, he's a believer. No, habibi, no. Wallah, you need to know that. Because many of us might be misled with this. When you sit with someone, but I believe that Allah is mahabba. Nice, good. And I believe that Allah, okay. This Allah that you believe asks you to do such and such. Qal ma'al al-shaykh. Sorry, I don't allow anyone to interfere in my business. This is kufr. Wallahi, this is kufr. Wallahi, tallahi, billahi, that this is kufr. We need to understand this. Because many people, they were misled with some kind of emotional and ignorance. Tawheed is not just, or otherwise, ya habibi. Wallahi, wallahi, billahi, tallahi, anna Aba Jahl, he was so honest more than many Arabs now. Abu Jahl, because when they refused to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha anna Muhammadan, they realized exactly what does it mean. Because why they refused? Why Abu Jahl, when he was to be finished at the end of the battle of Badr, when Abdullah ibn Mas'ud came and finished him, he knows that he will die now. But he knows that if he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I will want to submit. No, I will not want. Full submission. So that's why we need to understand, this is the core meaning of Tawheed. However, academically, philosophically, theoretically, as an extra knowledge, I will add to your knowledge what happens in the academic circles, which I believe many of you don't need it. You don't need it, I believe, I personally. But you know why I'm giving you? Because sometimes some people will come and will make noise in your knowledge. Will discuss with you. Tawheed uluhiyya, rububiyyah, asma wa sifat, blah, 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 blah. You discuss these things, you will be confused. As if you have no faith and you have no iman. The core point of Tawheed is what I have told you. That's it. Full obedience to Allah. But however, you need to know, to have the full image, full understanding for the whole concept of Tawheed, Allah, we deal with Allah to give His right in our imagination and understanding. We tackle it through 3 areas. We call it Tawheed Uluhiyya, Tawheed Rububiyyah, Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. To believe that Allah is the Rabb and Allah is the Ilah, and Allah deserves the full concept of what we call in Islamic terminology Tanzih. And I will explain what does it mean. Now, the first meaning, Allah is Rabb. Rabb, basically, in English is Lord. That we say landlord. And we say in Arabic language, Rabbul Usra. The caretaker of the Usra, the one who's in charge of the family. We use in Arabic language, Rabbul Usra, Rabbul Bayt. And even you say, إذا كان رب البيت للضف ضاربا فشيمة أهل البيت كلهم الرقص. This is an Arabic usage for the word Rabb. Now, if we say Ar-Rabb, we are talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rabb indicates that everything in the existence has come by His permission and His will, and He's controlling everything, and no one else shares Him with this. So Rabb means محيي, مميت, رزاق, معطي, مانع, okay, منتقم, all of these attributes about to initiate something from nothingness. المنشئ, الخالق. To give something to someone or to prevent someone from taking someone. It's because he is a Rabb. So when we say Rabb, what should come to your mind, that Allah is in charge of everything in the universe. طيب. This means if any group of Muslims or non-Muslims, and let's talk about Muslims now, such as, I don't generalize, such as some Sufi groups. Some Sufi groups, some of them, they deviated from Islam by thinking that the Shaykh al-Tariqah, he knows the ghaib and he brings death from, and some Shia, للأسف, some Shia groups, they believe in that, and some of the Imams, that they know the ghaib and they control the universe and they bring deaf people from, all these things. So this is a big issue in Islam. No one shares Allah with life or death or rizq. We are just means. Ar-Razzaq wa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not you. You are just a means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using you, using me. I'm not the Razzaq for my kids. Allah is using me to let the rizq, and the rizq will come to them whether I do exist or I do not. So I should not believe that أنا الرزاق. No, أعوذ بالله. Allah is Ar-Razzaq. Allah is Al-Muhyi. We don't bring life. You are married. You go and sleep with your wife, but you don't give life to this new child. Allah is the one who gives the permission. So this is the Rabb, okay? No one shares. So if anyone believes that Shaykh al-Tariqah or this man or that other has a power in this area, he's committing an act of shirk. طيب. Al-Ilah, the only being who deserves to be worshipped, which I explained now just. When we say Ilah, no one to be obeyed above him. Anyone to be obeyed under his permission. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. When someone deserves, who knows the knowledge, he's giving you something because he's working under the umbrella of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But no one equal to Allah or above Allah. Including, here comes now the area of politics. Ya habibi al politics. Shaffar. Yeah, here comes Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. We are entered because Tawheed al-Uluhiyya means no one to be obeyed except Allah. طيب. Technically, practically, how many Muslims, Arabs and non-Arabs, they put their kings, leader, parties, watan, groups, whatever, just name them, okay, Hizb al-Ba'ath, Hizb al-whatever, they put it above Allah. Technically, practically, how many of them? For example, Hizb al-Ba'ath Suri, I heard from many people. For me, it became ijma', ijma' consensus. That many people, they use, not from the age of those who are 30s and 40s and 50s. They used to repeat at school, آمنت بالبعث, حزب البعث, ربا لا شريك له, وبالعروبة دينا ما له من ثانٍ. This is part of their slogans. I believe in the party of Al-Ba'th, the Renaissance. ربا لا شريك له, as my Lord has no partner. This is part of their slogans. Pure shirk. Pure, direct. يعني قلت إخوان المصريين مقشرة كده. Pure shirk مقشر. يعني you need to put no effort to understand it. It's a pure shirk directly. آمنت بالبعث ربا لا شريك له وبالعروبة دينا ما له من ثانٍ. And I believe in the national Arabism or the nationality of Arabs as a religion has no other partner. My religion is my nationality and my Rabb is my party. When you see this, do you need more explanation? And it was based on the idea of Marxism, which is part of communism. I'm just giving an idea. The idea would come to politics, which means technically, those people, they are saying what? They are saying technically to Allah, we don't care what you want from us. We care what we want to say or we want to do. So we need to understand. When we speak about Allahu la ilaha, it's not just we are chanting a nice religious spiritual song. No. It has a great meaning. We say الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات له. Everything belongs to him. He is the one who is in charge. He's the creator, and he has the only one who has the full right to be obeyed. لا تأخذ سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات والأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه about his greatness. This is the first and second message. Now, let's go to اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. The third one, sorry. I told you توحيد ربوبية, توحيد ألوهية, and توحيد أسماء وصفات. توحيد أسماء وصفات, this is a very sensitive area. Because Muslims during the history, they had a lot of fight inside this area. I ask Allah not to let me be part of this fight. But there is حق العلم sometimes, just to make it as much as simple as I can. And I wish if I'm able to speak in Arabic. Because it's a very, very sensitive, tough topic to decide it. Not because it's tough, because of the historical accumulation between some groups of Muslims. May Allah forgive many of them. Now, the idea. Tawheed al-Asma' wa-Sifat basically is based on the idea of Tanzih. Tanzih is a pure Islamic terminology. By the way, no translation. But if I want to translate it, now I will explain to you the meaning of Tanzih. Tanzih could be translated with one of terminology, which is the glorification of Allah, to glorify Allah. Now, Tanzih means to believe that Allah is above any possible understanding of shortage, of weakness, okay, that could ever come to your mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above all kind of defects that we know for the human creation. Allah is above. Munazzah, which means He is not like them. The best ayah to help you to understand the tanzih, that Allah is glorified, Allah is above, Allah is al-ali, Allah is laysa kamithlihi shay. This is the most important ayah. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Look, what does it mean? Now, if you want to translate it in a very simple way, we will say there is nothing like him. This is the simple translation. If you want to go for a little bit more deep, there is nothing like the likeness of him. ليس كمثله شيء. But what does it mean? It means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us the following. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is creator and everything else is creation. No comparable. Don't compare. Okay? Even for whatever reason, theoretically, imagine that you were able to find something could be like him. There is nothing like this likeness in the creation. It's a rhetorical Arabic style, uslub balaghi, to give you the top level of affirmation, of confirmation that this thing is impossible. Nothing like him. But what does this mean? Whatever could come to you of likeness of Allah, just delete it from your mind. Because He said, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. But why? Let me give you the core point now. Why we are not allowed to accept the possibility that anything could be like Allah? Practically, this is the meaning. This is the reason. The reason that Allah has created everything in the universe on the base of defects and weakness. He Himself is As-Samad Al-Qayyum. What does it mean? You need to understand this terminology. Al-Qayyum and As-Samad, this both means قائم بنفسه غير المحتاج لغيره. He stands by himself, depending on himself, and he is in need for anyone else. This is the meaning of Qayyum and As-Samad. قائم بذاته. Everything else needs what? Something else to depend on. in the creation, which means it was created to show the greatness of the Creator. Or otherwise, it will be a similarity between the Creator and the creation. For example, we are part of the great, let's say, segments or parts of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We, the human beings, we are one of the great secrets of the creation. We are much better than the dust or the trees or something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it time. How many defects points we have in our existence compared with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yalla, let's count. Can we live without oxygen? So are we dependent or independent? Weakness, shortage. Can we live the first stage of our lives without being breastfed? No milk, no life. Go to death. Weakness, shortage. Weakness and shortage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not. Huh? Yes, yes. We need oxygen. We die without it. We need to sleep. We die without it. We need food. We die without it. We need to drink. We die without it. We need to take rest. We die without it. We need to... That's why he said, لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Not drowsiness and is not at sleep. But we need it. When you go to sleep, you are out of coverage. خلاص. No Wi-Fi. You don't know anything. And by the way, none of us remembers the first or second or maybe third year of his existence. Well, you are completely under the rahmah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know nothing. We came out of the wombs of our mothers, we know nothing. لا تعلمون شيئا. Allah taught us. Allah is the one who designed. We did not design ourselves. We did not decide when we should be born. We did not decide whether we are males or females. We did not decide who our parents. We have no control all of these things. We are weak. But Allah has the full control and the full decision to decide whatever, whenever He wishes. So that's why when someone resembles something from the creation with Allah, he's committing an act of kufr. Why? Because he's insulting Allah. Have you understood the point? Because everything in the creation is based on what? Weakness and shortage. ضعف, نقص. Allah, kamil. خلق, نقص. By default, everything, including the sun, including the galaxy, including... Can the sun moves 1 meter out of the orbit? No, subjugated. But no one can subjugate Allah. الشمس خاضعة. Allah ليس خاضع. Not to anyone or any power. I'm giving you just some aspects why it's important to understand the concept of tanzih. So Tawheed Asma Sifat is not just to speak philosophically, to do takfir or something. No. It means don't resemble Allah with anything, because if you do so, as if you are insulting Allah. This tells you, that's why we say, if someone believes that Allah was incarnated in the human body form, whether it's Buddha or Rama or Jesus, or because it's a very common, by the way, faith it was in Europe and in the Far East to believe in the concept of Trinity. By the way, Trinity is not a Christian invention. It used to be known for hundreds and thousands of years in Egypt, in Europe, old Europe, pagans Europe, and in Far East as well. But the idea, so why we consider it an act of kufr? That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah, out of His mercy, looked to the wise and polite way in the Quran while addressing the people. ما المسيح ابن مريم إلا رسول قد خلت من قبله الرسل وأمه صديقة كانا يأكلان الطعام. Allah, while He was addressing a group of people, especially Christians, in a very nice way, to touch their heart, just to use the logic, the common sense, telling them, Jesus Christ was nothing but a messenger. And His mother was a very righteous, good woman, like Khadija, like Aisha, like Fatima, radiallahu anhum jami'an. Then Allah said, كَانَا يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامِ. This is a high, stylish Arabic way to express. كَانَا يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامِ literally means they used to eat food. This is a rhetorical expression, أسلوب بلاغي, to tell you what? They used to go to the washroom. It's as if, sir, are you sure that you worship a God that he used to go to the washroom? Go to washroom means he's in need to go to the washroom. Need. Which means someone has subjugated him and designed him in a way that he had to eat, and once he was forced to eat, he must go to the washroom to get rid of the end result. As if God used to be in need to go to the washroom. This is the way that so when us to understand Tawheed and Tanzih, we need to bring all these meanings. It's not just a philosophy. So therefore, Allah. Now, next message. I'm sorry. I know it's a little bit deep Aqidah topic, but I believe you need it. Yes, Dr. Yasser.
It's important to mention also, I know it's too long, I'm sure you want to mention it, but it's important for young ones to know that even if Allah used in the Quran or Muhammad ﷺ used in the Hadith an attribute that is meant to be describing Allah Azza wa Jal, and this attribute is similar in the way it is said, a description that can be given to a human being as well, that there is no any comparability.
Yes.
That whatever Allah ما وصف به نفسه ولو تشابهت الأسماء هو فوق
Yes.
وصف الإنسان.
Jazakallah khair. I'm trying just to avoid the very, very deep problematic things, because some of them maybe it's their first time in their life they are exposed to this meaning. So I'm trying to use it in a very simple way. The most important thing of the idea, ليس كمثله شيء. Allah should not be resembled with any part of the creation, a human being or an animal or anything. A tree, a mountain, a great monster, aliens or whatever. It's part of the creation. Why? It's based on naqs, shortage, defects. So by doing so, by imagining so, by accepting so, as if, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, you are insulting Allah. And it's an act of shirk or an act of kufr, period. In a very general way. So when you speak about Tawheed, Uluhiyya, Rububiyyah, Asma' Sifat, this is the idea. Allah is in charge of everything. No one shares. Uluhiyya, Allah is the only being who deserves to be worshipped, full obedience for His law. Asma' Sifat or Tanzih, nothing resembles Him. Now the final points, Allah by His wisdom, for something we have no knowledge why, He decided to deal with us with regard Himself into two areas. This is my understanding now. He did not tell us about the exact reality of Himself. We don't know it. We don't know, by the way, Allah is beyond time and place. By the way, time and place, they are part of the creation. Our minds, they are restricted with time and place. This is not applicable in Allah. Allah is not subjugated under the time frame. Yani Allah, for you and me, for example, I myself, I'm 56 now. 40 years ago, I was 16. My knowledge, let's say, about X topic was limited. 10 years later, I used to know more. Imagine that I was, for example, studying computer engineering. Okay? 30 years ago, this is my knowledge about computer engineering. 20 years ago, this is my knowledge about computer engineering. 10 years ago, this is my knowledge. So I went through the process of accumulating, and at a certain point, I was unaware, I was ignorant, I was seeking the knowledge, and I achieved more knowledge, but still limited. So I'm part of, subjugated under the past, present. I don't know what will happen to me in the future. Am I going to be increased in knowledge, or I will die tomorrow, or I will have Alzheimer and I forgot everything? I don't know. This is not applicable in Allah. There is no single time, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, Allah was not aware of something and suddenly He discovered this thing. If you believe in that, could be acting an act of shirk. Allah knows everything. How? We don't know. We can't grasp it because Allah laysa kamithlihi shay. So, Allah told us about His power. Allah told us, He manifested to us His greatness through the creation, through the law, through the design, through the qadr. We know the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we seek the knowledge, the ilm, the science, the physics, and by the way, physics, mathematics, they are based on the laws that are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's embodied inside ourselves, the common sense, completely. And we say, we invented so and so. Habibi, you just discovered the relation between the materials. Allah is the one who designed and embodied the nature of such and such and such these materials. We are just discovering and making benefit. We do not create the ability in these materials. We don't bring it to be. No, we just discover. Okay? For example now, when we put, let's say, we discovered now that water is combined of oxygen and hydrogen. Have we created the ability between the atom of the hydrogen and we designed it to accept the oxygen to form water? Or we discovered this? We discovered. Okay? We just discovered. For example, the food salts that we use, it contains sodium and chlorine. We discovered that. And both of them separated, they are poisonous. They kill. Sodium alone kills, chlorine alone kills. When they are combined in a certain way, according to the law of Allah, we have food salt. We can't eat without it. Who gave the decision that this material out of hundreds and then millions of components, when they are together, they form X or Y or Z? It's Allah. We just discover. So we keep trying in the lab. Those people, they keep, we did, Habibi, without the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are just discovering the greatness of Allah. That's why the true alim, whenever he discovers something, he should do sujood. That Allah enabled him to realize more from the knowledge that Allah has put inside this universe. This is a big difference between the believer and the atheist. So we need to understand these very, very important meanings about tanzih, tawheed, laysa kamithlihi shay. Okay, now this is Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. What else? I remind you, I finished what I want to talk about this ayah. I remind you just with one reminder, then we will have about 15 minutes to renew your wudu and to prepare yourself for the Isha, inshallah. Now, as we said, now the ayah, forget the technical, philosophical, deep explanation. Now this ayah is highly recommended to be part of your daily word. If you can, read this ayah when you wake up, do it. Before you go to sleep, please do it. When you leave your home, do it. It will be part. Now, and by the way, Ayatul Kursi is part of the word and it's part of the ruqya as well. If you want to protect yourself from the shayateen and the sihr and all these things, it's always. In addition to al-mu'awwidhatayn, which is قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ and قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. If for whatever reason you have limited time and you can't have a word to do a lot of Quranic verses, just please stay with Ayatul Kursi. Because it's the greatest ayah in the Quran. If for whatever reason you always forget, please don't forget at least to read it when you go to sleep and when you leave your home with the intention to seek Allah's protection. This is a great ayah. This is not a normal ayah. It's the greatest ayah in the Quran. Repeat it again, recite it, read the translation very quickly and we'll finish my dars inshallah bi'idhnillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. Allah There is no God worthy of worship except Him, the ever-living, all-sustaining. Neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes Him. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. He who could possibly intercede with Him without His permission. He fully knows what is ahead of them and what is behind them. But no one can grasp any of His knowledge except what He wills to reveal. His seat encompasses the heavens and the earth, and the preservation of both does not tire Him, for He is the Most High, the Greatest. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أن يعلمنا ما ينفعنا وأن ينفعنا بما علمنا. If anyone would like to ask a question or one or two questions very quickly in 2-3 minutes, otherwise I will stop and we will raise the adhan, inshallah. تفضل أخي. Yes. If you can speak as loud as you can.
So my question was, like, obviously we know there are Muslim groups that have issues with, like, aqidah, like, for example, like, getting the Prophet ﷺ status to a level that is in an appropriate level.
Sorry.
You know, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why do such Muslims still call themselves Muslims when clearly they have obvious aqidah issues?
That's very complicated, brother. But what, I mean, let's differentiate between leaders and what we call the lay people, العامة, عوام الناس. Ignorance, politics, hidden agendas, wars between, because, you know, now, Muslims, they were a great nation. So one of the main reasons, and I will do it in a very short way because it needs a very deep ilm majlis, okay? It's not wise to open this in this context because you need to establish the basics. But one of the things, in general, answer, ignorance. One of them, misleading. One of them, politics. But let me go historically, how come these groups became part of Islam, claiming that they are Muslims? One of the main reasons, in my understanding and my readings. Islam, Arabs and Muslims generally, they were limited in the Arabic Peninsula. At that time, the two great big powers, Persians, for hundreds of years, you know, the Persian Empire, 1,150 years, and the Roman Empire. If we consider Byzantines and the Romans altogether, 1,500 years more or less. So imagine a bunch of Arabs who were considered for those two, Persians and Romans, which means in our language now, okay, like Russians and Europeans, okay? They were considered backward people. They know nothing. They keep just begging the people. They keep fighting 40 years because of a horse race. Out of a sudden, they came up with a new system, new software. Okay? A new complete, you know, in our language now, that's a new invention. And they conquered everyone in all levels, economic, ethical, something. So common sense says you will have an enemy. If you are very powerful, they will not declare their enmity. They will work under the table. One of the working under the table, they will invent this kind of ideas and groups to try to fight Islam from within. This is one of the main reasons, by the way. Especially the area of Persians, especially at that time. Because they felt it's very tough because they were collapsed completely at Al-Qadisiyah. Umar al-Khattab and Amr ibn al-As. Finished literally, 33 Hijri, خلاص. 1,150 years they were demolished. Can you imagine the feelings? They want to take revenge. So they work very hard with the help of other powers as well. But this is one of the main reasons. So it's a big topic now. And by the way, let me just give you another answer now. Do you think if someone is realizing that he's wrong is enough to leave what he is doing as a wrong thing? Forget these kind of deviations of groups. Let me tell you a simple example. How many sisters who claims that she's a Muslim and she is a Muslim does not wear the hijab. And she knows that she's doing wrong. The fact that she knows does not do wrong. How many TikTokers they are Muslims and hijabis and they dance and they show part of their bodies and they put full makeup and they say haram words and they do haram action. They know and they realize. I don't care. How many millions? How many Muslims they drink alcohol? How many Muslims they commit zina? How many Muslims they watch porno? So the idea, because your question is, your premise is, but don't they know? Who told you that if they know it's enough to finish the problem? No. You have a lot of other reasons. Desires, priorities, benefits. Like in political level, 99.999% of political leaders in Arab world, they know that they are doing wrong things and doing dhulm and killing the people, torturing them. But we call them in the Islamic terminology muntafi'un. They are benefiting themselves, they don't care. They know they will be punished, but they don't care now. That's why Jahannam is waiting. So on political level, on hijab level, on zina level, on khamr level, we have the same example. So it's not just enough for the reality to be clear so that anyone knows the reality will follow it. No. We have a lot of complicated other reasons, psychological and the arrogance. And the best example, and let me finish by best example, the best of the best of the best of the best. You know what is it? Mr. Iblis. Mr. Iblis. Mr. Iblis, he was an eyewitness of the creation. He was not facing any trouble with the idea of ilm al-ghayb. For us, we are tested with al-ghayb, by the way. It's part of our test. ألف ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. Part of our test to believe in the ghaib. Was it ghaib for Iblis? He was an eyewitness. Eyewitness on the beginning. This huge ceremony of the beginning of the creation of Adam. Do the sujood. قال لم أكن أسجد لبشر خلقته من طين. I was addressing Allah directly. يا جماعة, wallahi, the example of Idris is mind-blowing. He was there, you don't know where, okay? With the angels, eyewitness. Allah is speaking with him directly. And he witnessed the case of the Adam and he refused. That's why don't ever think that knowing the haqq is enough to follow the haqq. No! We have obstacles. We have desires. We have interests. We want to benefit. This is reality. Many of us, we know the haqq, but for other reasons, we want to benefit, we want to empower ourselves, we want to support, we want to take revenge, we lie, we commit, we change, we twist, we do something. So so what about others? Hatred and history in addition. So it's not a big deal. I mean, it's very normal. Not acceptable, but you can understand why it happens. Wallahu a'lam. Jazakum Allah khair. طيب, let's do the اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد, the adhan, and to pray the Isha, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you next Monday with Sirah, inshallah.